Hello, so it's been a few days since we finished our 2 marathons in 2 days challenge, and we've had quite a lot of questions through.
We have. And we've had time to sleep. We've had time to have chats about like what it was like and everything. So we thought it was time to share
and put it in a video for you. Okay, so in terms of statistics, we're going to reel off some statistics of the run now.
Yeah, so sleep over the duration was 6 hours for me.
So I got 7 hours. 7.5.
Running time, 8 hours 50. I blame my knees.
Mine was 8 hours 20 on the running time.
Calories expended was 4,624.
Mine was calories expended. I've got to be precise with my document here. 5,603. And I also tracked calories in as well. So calories in for me was 6,391. Where day one was 1,779. Wednesday was 2,412 and Thursday was 2,200.
I didn't track that. So steps for just the runs alone over the days was 94,422 for me.
I didn't track that one.
Okay. Music, I listened to Eminem on 9 of the 13.
I listened to Eminem on 8 of the 13.
We had rain on 8 of the 13, which also included very torrential rain.
Yeah, particularly on the 1 a.m.
Yes. And
we're going to talk you through the challenge now with those dimensions in mind. So for me, I started out with 10 out of 10 on mentality and physicality. I was feeling great. I was feeling invincible. It slowly started to decrease, whereby at 9 o'clock on the Wednesday morning, the first morning, I started to feel lethargic and lack of energy. And then started to feel more energized for the next ones before, again, at the 5 a.m. point on the Thursday morning, I felt absolutely depleted and my legs started to feel really, really sore then and heavy. I guess you want me to say more.
No, you're just really proud then. Shall I go?
And then obviously, as if you followed the Instagram stories, you'll know that I was suffering with blisters towards the last few races as well. So obviously that knocked down my physicality there. But mentality stayed pretty consistent throughout. The main dip on that was the 1 a.m. on the Thursday and also the 9 a.m. on the Wednesday was where my mentality was the lowest.
Yeah, so similarly, I think my mentality was higher or the same as my physically on all but one occasion. That one occasion, I remember waking up, it was really early on the first day, and I just, I couldn't be arsed, to be honest. Physically took a dip due to stomach pains. There was a right knee niggle that came, really
digestion's
painful.
Horrible to run on.
There was a right knee niggle that came up like 5 a.m. on the first morning, and then it just disappeared right until the end. Kind of the last 2 races in particularly, it was so painful. And the 1 a.m. on the last day was just torture, and poor Hannah had to do quite a slow race for that one for us. So yes.
I thought you were choosing it.
I thought you were. You're the director. So yeah, based on like that, I suppose it highlights the first difference between us during the challenge. Why are you laughing?
Sorry.
So on that occasion, Hannah's mentality really helped during it because obviously I was in pain, but she was really pushing us, like encouraging and
during the race. And then I'd say that Rachel was more encouraging mentality wise in between races. So like when we'd got back, she'd be like, right, let's the next race is this time, let's like just look forward to lunch or just get it over and done with. Like Rachel's quite a get it over and done with sort of person, whereas I'm more like in the moment, so I can like find that mentality like when I'm actually starting that run. But before, like I found that it was quite difficult to motivate.
Yeah, like sometimes you look really like tired and lethargic, and then we'd both get back and I'd be like, how did you get on? And she'd be like, oh yeah, I got like this time, and I'd be like, but you were lethargic a few minutes ago.
We differed in very different ways in terms of the actual challenge itself. So I got more sleep than Rachel, so I think it was like an hour and a half more than you. And I also think, although you didn't track, but I reckon I probably ate more than you as well.
Yeah, and I suppose we ate different things as well, because we have, like, I'm vegetarian and Hannah's not vegetarian, so we obviously eat different foods.
Yeah. So obviously you had to encounter a lot of knee pain, didn't you? So I'm wondering whether that's like to do with your potential lack of sleep or lack of protein, maybe repair and recovery.
I'm not really sure.
But it tested Rachel's mental strength more than it did for me, with having to go through the pain of your knees, I guess, like that probably tested your mental strength like a lot.
Yeah, but then I guess like it's only because I was at the ends of physical pain that it enabled me to test that.
But whilst I didn't have the pain of knees, I had the pain of putting on soggy wet shoes throughout the challenge. Like you mentioned earlier, there's like 8 out of 13 was it they rained, I think.
Yeah, and
so obviously we got back and we'd usually like shower, eat, stretch out. But other than that, you had
well, yeah, we were both working really, but just different times. Thinking about imagining the feeling afterwards. Once it's done, you're one step closer to finishing, so there'll be like less races. The pain's temporary, you've got a choice to do it. Others are in pain 24/7. I remember thinking of someone I knew who'd had a hip replacement, and obviously they don't have the choice of, like, they don't know that it's necessarily going to end until they've had the hip replacement. I also remember running past a surgery for cancer patients and thought a similar kind of thing.
Was that the 1am run?
I don't know, it might have been.
Oh, I saw that on the 1am run.
Oh, did you think the same?
Yeah, I did, yeah.
You're doing pretty well this run, go for that PB, so that's when I got the personal best. I started speaking to myself as Hannah had done to me on the 1am, so she was saying to me, go on, you're doing really well, even though I wasn't. So I just thought, right, when I'm not doing well in a run, I'm still going to just say that. Managing expectations, so not going out to run a PB on proper dodgy knees. I mean, although I actually think I did, but I will say that, but still. And ticking off the race numbers was really helpful afterwards. Cause
definitely, for sure, yeah. Like coming in and being like, should we tick it off? For me, it was similar to what Rachel says, but I had some advice from Jen, shout out to Jen, saying about when your legs are heavy to do an easier first mile and then build up from that. And I found that really helped.
Did you share that with me?
Yeah, I did.
You didn't?
Yes, I did.
Okay.
You like just keep going kind of thing. Keep that tempo. So having a tempo in mind and trying to like think of meeting that tempo throughout. Don't slow, you're better than that. So like internal voice of like kind of shooting yourself down, but also encouraging yourself to go quicker. Keep within that 10-mile pace, because I set myself a goal to try and get within 10 miles. So goal setting for me really works. So that was something that I did. Keep the core tight. Don't let posture or technique go, because this will screw you over later. So I was thinking of like thinking about where my feet were striking, where my trying to see myself from outside of myself, basically, to try and ensure that I am keeping relatively good technique as possible, so it wasn't going to screw me over. Quicker you get home, the quicker you can go to the toilet. That was a few times I needed a wee. Similar to what Rachel said, the pain is temporary, illnesses are not. Prove to yourself you are capable, and just stuff like, come on, just like keep going kind of thing.
Yeah, and I think as well on my last one, I remember actually singing, because I was like, I'm having to go so slow now because of these silly legs. And counting down never, like, from the start didn't really help me. So I remember getting to 1 mile and being like, oh, I've only done 1 mile, I've got 3 more to go. But actually, that's where I changed my route, so that I was going to a location for 2 miles and then 2 miles back, because it meant that 1 mile became halfway to the next checkpoint rather than just the beginning. Beating yourself up doesn't help, because it just doesn't. There's no point. I mean, it does, to be fair.
I was thinking in some respects when you can spin it round.
Because you can just be like, oh, you're too slow, so then it makes you go faster.
Yeah.
But at the same time, if like, I don't know, maybe that does actually help. Feeling sorry for yourself, that doesn't help, because if you're like, oh, poor me, like, my knees are so injured or I'm so tired, then it just creates excuses. Like at the end of the day, you just got to go, get it done, and then you can come back and the pain will end. Hopefully, although my knees are still a bit sore.
For me, negative mentality that creeped in was, I feel ill, can't be bothered with this run. Digestion problems at the start was pretty bad. Like, it's not very nice running on poor digestion and feeling bloated as you're running, feeling a lot more heavy. Mentality wise, I think predisposing yourself to thinking that you're going to have a bad run. So in between the rests, like at one point my legs were so achy and heavy that I was literally picking them up with my hands. And then I think in my head I subconsciously thought this is going to be a rubbish run, and then going out it just doesn't really help. So you have to try and spin that round into more of a positive and actually like, okay, right, let's just get going. Mentality wise as well, things like I'll take it easy for me didn't really work because it was slowing down my pace, and then I'd have to go even quicker to try and get within my goal of 10-mile pacing. So I think for that, taking it easy can be good at some times, but I think that was generally negative for me. But in terms of difficulties and obstacles, there was blisters, wet clothes, constantly wet trainers, poor digestion, and also going straight to doing an outdoor boot camp class from going, like, literally getting in from a run and going straight there.
That was tough.
To come back to then have dinner and then go straight out again. That was quite a lengthy ordeal. For me, I don't know whether it was the same for you. It's kind of going off topic, but it's an interesting topic. Emotions. The last few runs, I got like quite emotional and quite cryy and like teary and upset. I didn't know if that was to do with sleep deprivation or what.
I reckon, like, So I remember after the last one, which took ages, because my last ones were getting slower as my knee pain was coming in. It meant less rest time, and then the very last one was an extra half mile. So I just got home and I just felt like I couldn't eat, so I didn't eat for hours because I just lost my appetite, and it still took a while to come back. I kind of would have food, I'd be hungry, I'd start eating, and then I'd just feel really full, and we don't really know why that is. We kind of hypothesised that it might be because my body's energy was in like reducing the swelling of my knees, like recovery, but that's back now, so it's all fine. And then I went home for the weekend, so that was quite hard to drive home with like not being able to bend your legs. So there was some questionable driving, like in terms of like pulling off. I nearly stalled a few times.
Was that because you knew?
It's because I had to move my chair back actually. And then I went home, so like my parents were really nice, like looking after me and stuff. And then I'm still like limping a bit, but I've just been using like your like little muscle gun thing. And like,
so in terms of for me, for after, I felt very accomplished. You kind of missed that bit out because I think it's too much about the pain, but I felt accomplished that we'd done it.
It was really nice.
Yeah, it was satisfying feeling like ticking off the last bit on the whiteboard to say that we'd finished all the runs. So yeah, there was that. My legs felt heavy, and the following morning as well. But just like loads and loads of stretching and foam rolling for that. And then other than, like, I didn't have any issues with my appetite, so I just carried on as normal. In terms of after as well, we were able to start to recover on sleep. So obviously we had minimal sleep between the 2 days. I was surprised at how I didn't feel too like tired when we'd had hardly any sleep.
Yeah, no, I agree. And so I think I learned that like the reason I wanted to do it was to push my mentality, and I think it just proved that if you just believe and keep going, you can like achieve what you set out to do. I think it's also taught me to deal with rain a bit better, because I used to like hate rain, but now it's just like, do you know what, like I've been in worse situations in rain. It's also taught me about, I don't know, to kind of reflect more on like life, you know, how we were saying about going through the motions of the whole day in the life.
It taught me, it actually taught me, you see it's spoken about a lot of in terms of like aesthetics versus performance, and it taught me actually sometimes I'd be like not really give my body enough credit for what it can do, and just be more like, oh, why haven't I got a six-pack here, or why haven't I got more muscle or anything, like comparing myself to other people on that respect. But then it showed me the value of actually just accepting, just being pleased with what your body can achieve, and like mind and body together is like a synchronized thing where like they can work together to help you accomplish massive things. But if your mindset's gone, then you can't achieve the same thing as you might be able to. But like you were saying, your mindset was higher than your physicality, which could have.
I think that like you were going to say, I think you were just about to say that it could have carried me through, but actually it's done myself a bit of an injury now. but your mentality can be so strong that you can push through like pain barriers, and you can just keep going if you just really want to like achieve something. So don't let your mentality set you back from anything. Like, just if you want to do something, try and do it, and don't let anyone tell you that you can't.
Because something as well that it made me realise as well how I'm never satisfied, and I probably never will be with exercise. Like after doing it, I was like, I could probably have done some of them a bit quicker, or
I definitely could have done
things like that. Instead of just being like, oh, like giving myself a pat on the back and saying like, you know, like well done for doing that. I just realised that that's just the way I am in terms of that side of things. I'm quite like I pick myself apart in terms of performance, and I'm like, I could have done better, I could have done this better. But then, as I say, it did teach me the value and the most important thing that I want you to believe as well is that your body is probably more capable than you will ever think, but also it's not just about trying to get a six-pack. It's not just about trying to get like a little bit of definition on your body and cutting your body fat percentage down really low to intense levels. It's not about that. It's about what your body can achieve, how you can sort of push your mindset to help you accomplish things as well. In all honesty, quite minimal / none. Mainly we wanted to prove a point in terms of mentality wise. I mean, we do quite a lot of my online classes and stuff, which is getting your heart rate up.
Yeah.
But nothing specific in terms of running multiple times in a day with like 4 miles with 4 hour gaps or anything like that. We didn't train for it at all, actually.
No, we didn't. I think we only decided like a couple of weeks prior that we'd actually do it, and then that was the 4-4-48 challenge, and then I think it was like 3 or 4 days before when you turned it into a
I decided that we were doing a 2 marathon, and you're like, okay. But that's not to say that like obviously there's massive value in training for something. Maybe we would have seen even more felt more accomplished if we trained for it. Less injury probably as well, but we wanted to do it to prove a point about mentality and prove a point about a lot of people are put off doing things because they've never tried it. But how do you know how capable you are if you don't try it? You don't. And when you accomplish something that you weren't too sure whether you'd achieve, there's a lot of there's a lot of achievement in that, and there's a lot of sense of pride for yourself as well.
And also, like, it's made me enjoy running a bit more. I think I'd go on more like leisurely runs and stuff.
Well, I guess I don't know about you, but I'd potentially do it in the future as like another charity challenge of just doing like obviously off the bat just one a marathon or an ultra. But I don't have any intentions of doing that anytime soon because gyms are reopening and I want to get back into doing weight training.
Yeah, no, I think it's definitely open. Like I want to do more challenges now. I want to.
My quick answer to this is buy waterproof trainers.
I would have probably. I've read like a sports psychologist book called The Champion's Mind, which is really good. I'd have probably revisited that a bit earlier on in the running, just to kind of give my mindset that extra power during the races. Otherwise, maybe a bit more training just before, or like kind of thinking more about like my running style to see if I could have reduced the chances of injury.
Setting your alarm at like 12:30 to get a 1 o'clock in the morning running is like when you're all comfortable in bed and I could hear the rain outside of my window and I was like in pyjamas.
No, it's worse when you get to the front door going out and you don't know it's been raining and then you open the door and you're like, oh.
You can see all the puddles like pouring down, It was tough. It was difficult. But I did actually quite like the regimented side of it, and like how you had to be like on the dot, meticulous, precision of that.
That was my favourite thing about it. Was like that's what helped me keep going, I think.
But I think that was like a difficulty of it as well, though, because usually if you're going out on a run, you can decide I don't really fancy it right now. I'll go maybe 10-15 minutes time. But for the challenge, you had to go on the time. Yeah. So regardless of whether you wanted to or not, you had to just start running.
Yeah.
So in answer to that question, it probably is the hardest thing.
Definitely.
That I've done. So I think we've covered most that we wanted to and most of the questions that you've asked. If you do have any further questions about the challenge, just send me a message in the comments or send us a separate message on our Instagrams or text us if you know us well enough to have our numbers. Lucky you. Anyway, thank you for watching. Thank you for following the journey as well of the challenge. And thank you if you donated as well. It's really appreciated.
And all the support throughout the comments and messages. Honestly, like very, very appreciated. Really, really, really thankful for that.
Cool.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.